Welcome to Let's Talk Sport. Today we're discussing WSL as we're waiting for match day number 1 coming up this weekend. So, can Chelsea make it 7 in a row? Will the Champions League holder finally break that streak? Is there a risk of seeing another invincible season? And what do we think of the new up and coming 14-team format? Will that affect what plays out this season? And the transfer record for WSL broke twice this summer, along with not saying goodbye to Goodison Park after all. A lot to discuss in the up-and-coming season for the WSL. I'm joined by Joe Stanley and Stu Davis. Hi guys, how are you both doing?
Yeah, doing very good, thank you. How about yourself?
You know, all is good on my end. I need to ask the other fella, Joe, how he's doing.
I'm doing quite good, thanks, Seb. It's a pleasure to have you back on the LCS waves.
It's been a while, Joe, it's been a while, but I enjoy your company, so I had to come on. So, we can talk about our predictions. I don't know if Joe and Stu have communicated with each other their predictions, but let's just start off with who we think is going to be the champions. I'll start off with you, Joe. Who've you got being champions this year in the WSL, and
Uh,
why? More importantly,
Chelsea probably favourites going into it, but I'm going to go with Arsenal this year to break the streak because someone's got to try and eventually do it. And they've made some good business this summer. They signed the players that they signed last summer were good signings as well. That brought them that extra bit closer. They've got 12 months in an Arsenal shirt bedded in now, so that's obviously more experience under that sort of pressure. The European champions as well, which they've got to bring forward with them from last season. So I'm hopeful. This is more out of hope more than anything that Arsenal can be the saviours of the WSL in a way and stop Chelsea from winning it once more.
so Arsenal, who were the last team that weren't Chelsea to win the WSL, but so they've broken the transfer record this summer with Olivia Smith coming in from Liverpool. Now that's a transfer record in the WSL, we should say. That was after Chelsea had initially broke the WSL transfer record this summer, signing Naomi Girma. What makes is there because this Chelsea team are ridiculous at the moment. An invincible season we've just seen, and two defeats last season in all competitions, one against Manchester City and one against Barcelona. It's a tall order for Arsenal to try and overcome that, especially how rampant Chelsea are at the moment.
Yeah, like I say, Chelsea absolute quality in their squad depth as well. I don't know. There's just some sort of feeling that something is special, but something special, sorry, is building across at the we'll say the Emirates because they play a lot of games there now. Across at that stadium, and I think that Lenny Slager's coming in last season. She seemed to change a lot of things, taking over from Jonas Eidevall. I think the players had become sick of the manager and maybe his attitude. I'm not 100% certain on what the full ins and outs of why he left, but I think if they had a better start last season, maybe if they had Slegers from the start, then you never know, they might have pushed the Chelsea even further.
Yeah, so Stu, on the other hand, has gone for, well, Chelsea to win the champions. And I guess it's easy to think why that would be the case. But do you care to explain why you think Chelsea will win this and not Arsenal, Stu?
It's just when I watch Arsenal, I think they play some great football, but one thing I think they're not very good at is like winning games ugly. I think Chelsea, there's been so many games like last season they should not have won, and then they've won, and then they've got a draw. Whereas I think Arsenal in those type of games, they just like usually lose them, and I and I think in these sort of leagues, you need to be able to win ugly, and I just don't think Arsenal can do that. So that's why I've picked Chelsea.
Is there a chance that you think some other team could try breaking that top two? Are we looking at both Manchester clubs hoping for a bit more of a title chase from them, or is that a bit too much to ask?
I could see. I thought City were like really unlucky with injuries last season because that Kajira Shaw was injured for a lot of it. Lauren Hemp's been injured, and I think if they can keep their players fit, I think they can put up a challenge.
Yeah, because we're talking about Arsenal, but being one of those contenders, and
Huh.
I mean, they were much closer to both United teams, 4 points ahead of Manchester United and 5 points ahead of City, whereas they are 12 points behind Chelsea. Nothing should
Mhm.
say to us that anyone is breaking that Chelsea streak in the near future, but you know, anything could happen. And what do we think of the transfer business that Chelsea has done this season? Because maybe Arsenal have broke the WSL transfer record this summer, but Chelsea have been relatively active.
Do you want to take this one, Stu?
Um, yeah, I think they've done like some really good business. To be fair, as I think they've like gone up quite under the radar. I think all the talk seems to be on Arsenal at the moment, but I think like they've improved where they've needed to improve Chelsea, and like they were like gone on like 22 unbeaten runs, so I think it's great business on their behalf.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Chelsea, Arsenal aside, I'm going to look now at what you guys put for your second and third place finishes. So, Joe, you've gone with Chelsea and Man United, whereas Stu, you've gone with Arsenal and Man City. Now, I'll throw this over to Joe first. You've got Man United being the one to break the top three, like they did last season, and maintain that. Is there not a risk that you think they could drop away at any point, or you think they're onto something there?
It's strange because I'm not a massive fan of their manager, Mark Skinner, and I always seem to think that there's going to be something that's going to happen and United will drop off. But then all of a sudden, each season, he seems to pull a rabbit out the hat. And a couple of years ago, obviously, they won
Mm.
the FA Cup, again, albeit against Tottenham. 'Cause Tottenham teams are normally, whether it's the men or women's team, are normally allergic to trophies. But last season, obviously, uh, Ange put a stop to that with the men's team. But yeah, it's a strange one. And then last year, obviously, he managed to somehow sneak a third place finish, and they got the Champions League qualifiers to contend with. But I think in terms of the fact that they've managed to keep Grace Clinton so far this window, who is a key player. Okay, she didn't have as good of a season last season as the previous season before, but he's still a key player for Manchester United. They've signed Fridolina Rolfo from Barcelona, who's an absolute quality player, and I'll probably get on to talking about it a little bit later on in the video as well. And then you're looking at the fact that when Mary Earps left last summer, everyone was thinking maybe it's a bit of a situation defensively and goalkeeper wise, but Tullis Joyce coming in and she was immense and she was, battling with Hannah Hampton for that golden glove. So I think United defensively sound normally, and I think in an attacking sense, if they can just get that right going forward, then you never know, they might close that gap on second place.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, last season they were 21 goals behind Arsenal, so it's a big gap to make. You said the fear defensively, but they conceded just three more than Chelsea, so, you know, statistics would say defenses win leagues, so there's something to work on, but still a long way off Chelsea as it stands. What is your opinion on this, Stu? You said Man City over Man United for that third place spot. Yeah, care
Yeah.
to elaborate on that? Why? What makes you see City toppling United there?
Yeah, I just think last season with City like struggling with like their injuries, I think they won't have the European football, so the Champions League football, so they're more likely to keep their players fit. And I just think City's best 11 is much better than Man United. So I just think with the injuries, I can just see City. I think they'll actually be a lot closer to the top two positions, and I think Man United there'll be a bit of a gap between them, personally.
So basically, yeah, squad depth basically
Yeah,
is, and
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what you think of. Uh, can't say this right.
uh,
Incoming manager Andre Jurgelets.
yeah. I don't know like too much about him, but or what you've heard are like a lot of positive reviews about it, so should be a good appointment.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly with
Yeah,
the Jurgelets. Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
yeah, Swedish coach. I can't say I'm
uh,
familiar with him. I don't know what you
uh,
think either, Joe. What, if we're to expect
uh,
something from Man City with a new arrival?
Didn't know too much about them, but I do know someone that has done work with Manchester City. I'm not going to name their names because obviously conversations between me and them are private and all that lot. But there was a few bits and pieces where he has been working with the squad, in terms of like the players that you've got now, and then looking into the academy, and then trying to figure out, which players to bring up. So I think I've got a feeling that he's going to be trying to put a lot of the youngsters into the Man City squad this year, which could go either way for them. It could help them.
Mhm.
Definitely would long term, but whether it's going to hinder them this year in terms of not having that experience to push and knock on the door, I'm not sure. But from what I've heard from speaking to other people that I know who works coaching wise and has been close to Man City there, uh, he said that he's been looking very heavily throughout the summer at integrating 15, 16, 17-year-old players into that first team environment.
Yeah, while mentioning the managers, there's been a bit of a merry-go-round in the WSL this summer with managers. Jurgler's one of those who is incoming at Manchester City, but there are two other new faces. Have Taylor, sorry, at Liverpool, and Martin Ho at Tottenham Hotspur. Also, just want to mention while we're at it, Leicester just a couple of days ago, as of recording, fired their manager Amandine Mikel only days before the campaign starts. So I don't know how you've put Gareth Taylor, both of you, as manager to watch this season, and I'm wondering what you're expecting from him, Stu, at Liverpool. That is.
I'm I think the transfer business from Liverpool hasn't been the best so far. It's like they made like the record sale, but the incomings I don't think have been very good. But I was actually like really happy they got Taylor in because I think he I thought he deserved to go for Man City, but he won them the FA Cup, he won them a League Cup, built a challenge with them, but I just think Man City was probably too high up for his standards, whereas I think Liverpool may suit him more, and I just think the style of play Liverpool have may like incorporate with his style quite well, so I was like quite happy with it, but I just think Liverpool could really have done with like a attacking signing just to help him out because I think he'll get them like a solid base, but I would think we may struggle to like score goals. Yeah.
So the criticism that Gareth Taylor often received was, firstly, just when they go into slumps, they just can't get teams out of a rut, and
Yeah.
rumors have it that his interpersonal skills are not amazing. But yet, you think that could benefit Liverpool in this situation?
I think the fact they've like hired him, I would have hoped when they've done his interview, they would have challenged him about that and seen how he would do things differently. And so hopefully he would have changed that a bit because I do think that did let him down a bit at Man City.
Hmm. It's just that they would he would receive the same criticism year after year, and I think
Yeah.
City fans were in the end frustrated that you just didn't see
Yeah.
that step up from him. And if Liverpool are
Yeah.
looking now to step up, is Gareth Taylor the man, or is he another stepping stone to something bigger afterwards? I'll ask Joe the same question, and what your thoughts on Gareth Taylor are, as you've both put Gareth Taylor as your manager to watch this season.
Yeah, I think to echo what Stu said, he's got a lot to look at, a lot to prove, especially with the whole handling the Chloe Kelly situation as well. When he was Manchester City manager, they had the falling out, and then obviously he ended up leaving. I think was it end of January, early February time, and Nick Cush come around till the end of the season, but Kelly had already gone at that point. Uh, so it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with personalities, but at Liverpool, I don't see the big star names and personalities. Obviously, like Marie Herbinger's a quality player, Leanne Kiernan as well, uh, as well are well-known players and quality players. Two of my personal favourites as well. Sam Kerr coming in is a massive, massive signing as well. Not to be mistaken with the Australian, it's the Scottish midfielder I'm talking about. Uh, they had on loan in January. So the fact that he's managed to keep her in is a big thing as well. But I think in terms of how he manages the squad is the interesting thing because Liverpool the season before Matt Beard got in fifth place, and then last year they dropped off massively, and the performances were absolutely shocking last year. The tempo seemed to lack, and defensively they were weak. So if he can tighten up that defence, uh, hopefully Liverpool will have enough going forward. I do think with Olivia Smith, she was one of the top scorers. She was Liverpool's top scorer last season and one of the top scorers in WSL. She played very well in attacking sense, but the one thing that was lacking from her game was the physical strength, if that makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see how she does at Arsenal. She will be a big miss for Liverpool though, but whether Gareth Taylor's business is enough to help cover the gap so far, it would be interesting to see. He'll have to do a lot tactically, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that's one big thing. It's Olivia Smith moving to Arsenal. She was top scorer for Liverpool, but then where are you expecting the goals to come from for this Liverpool team after that? That's the main issue now, because do you see an out and out goal scorer in that squad?
Yeah,
That's a,
I don't really see like an out and out goal score in the team, but one thing when like you hear like Taylor's like tactical analysis, he seems to have like ideas of how to get goals all over the pitch, which is one reason why I think he may be a good appointment, because he usually knows how to like where the weak areas are for the opposition. So I think he'll be able to exploit that quite well. So I think it'll be more spread out between the team.
But then you could argue that Man City
Hmm.
have natural goal scorers like Shaw, which will bring me
Yeah.
on to the next point, which is you guys have both put your favourite for the Golden Boot as Bunny Shaw. So,
Yeah.
she obviously came second last year in the Golden Boot race. You guys think that she's going to push it one further this season and win it? Well, there's obvious reasons. Missed a lot of last season and still came second. So I don't think it's too deep why you guys think that she will be top scorer, but I'll leave the floor to you anyway to give your reasons. Joe?
yeah, like you said, missed a large spell of last season. Still managed to get second in there. It was only later on
And
in the season.
missed out on assists as well because tied top with Russo. But Russo just had 2 assists and Shaw had one. So
Yeah,
that's the key element
Yeah.
there.
it's the fact that, like, obviously, despite missing a large spell of the season, she still got those good numbers and finished second in the Golden Boot. I think if she could keep the injury problems at bay this year, like Stu said, with City not having that Champions League football, the fact that it will give them more of a chance to rest and recuperate the players in between competition time. I think that'll play a big part, and then she'll be even more hungry to go and make a point and snatch that golden boot back off Chloe Kelly. I think it was Chloe Kelly, was it? Or was
Russo,
it Russo? Russo, sorry.
Russo.
Let's see, Russo, sorry. I've got Chloe Kelly on the brain still from the Euros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also there could be an argument for Elizabeth Turlin getting just a first spot as well. There's 2 seasons now, double figures, and one of those was at Brighton. There's good reason to think that a progressing Manchester United side, she could also be in contention for that. But like mentioned, if Shaw is getting a ratio of 12 goals in 14 games, it's hard to compete with that. Stu, you were about to say?
Yeah, like similar to like what Joe said. I just I see like Shaw quite a few times in person. She just seems to be much more powerful than everyone else and like great finisher. And I was like, I think another thing with like Sam Kerr being injured, I think she would have been a good challenger for the Golden Boot, but she's got an ACL injury, and I'm not sure when she's back. So, and I just don't think Turland will be enough to be able to get that Golden Boot. So that's why I thought sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so enough about the top teams. Well, top teams. Let's not talk just about the goal scorers. Let's talk about other players to watch. And Stu has gone for Aslani, and Joe, you've gone for Rolfo. But I'll start with Stu. What are you expecting from Aslani this season?
I think it's going to be really interesting with London City being in the league for like the first time. They've got so many like new players in there, and I just think with Aslani, they need to be built a team around her because I think she's one of the best players in the world, and I think if they can get that right, then they're gonna like do quite well. She did an interview, I think it was today or yesterday, and they said about are you gonna build like a mid-table challenge, and she was basically like, no, we're gonna be towards the top four, as I say. I thought that was like very, very positive, and I just really like her style. So I think if she's playing to her best, and I think London City will have like a really, really good season.
So yeah, I'll get to. Actually, no, I'll let Joe go first. What are you expecting from Rolfo then, Joe?
Yeah, to just jump on what Stu said about London City quickly, I do think they'll have a very good season. I'm very confident with the signings that they've made. They've made experienced signings, which is I think something that Palace lacks, sorry, last year. But with Rolfo, yeah, I think the fact that she's come across from Barcelona, where to be honest, they dominate the women's La Liga every single year, and they're always going far in the Champions League. So I think she's come to United, challenge herself a little bit. I think as well the fact that I said United were lacking that clinical edge at times last season, here in the final third. So I think she's someone to watch to see if she can be that missing piece in terms of helping United get over the line in certain games. And yeah, I think with her being a big name to watch, there'll be a lot of pressure on her shoulders.
Okay, I want to come back to this point a little bit. So we mentioned Aslani moving to the London City Lionesses. I want your guys' take on the London City Lionesses and their sudden rise to the WSL. And you guys both think that they will not be in the relegation playoff spots for the reasons you've just mentioned. But can one of you maybe explain where this project has all come from and where you expect them to finish?
I'm happy to take this one. Yeah, there used to be Millwall women, from what I remember, and then they ended up getting brought out and stuff. And the owner's very committed to women's football and growing, and they've been in and about the top half of the championship for a few years. And then last year they beat Birmingham City to the title to get promotion, and then this summer they seem to have just invested very, very well. I think they've done some really smart business, and I'm confident that I think they'll surprise a lot of teams. I don't think they'll break that top three, top four, but I think they might be like fifth or sixth, mid-table, which would be solid for this season. And then you never know, they might be one of the ones that manages to push on in seasons to come. They've
So
just got the financial backing. Let's put it that way.
so your assumption is that this isn't just a happy to be here one season. This is a very growing project that is going somewhere and will be hopeful in the coming years to be competing.
Yeah, I think that the project there at London City, it looks like that they're here for the long haul. They don't want to be a flash in the pan. They don't want to be, oh, we'll come up, we'll invest heavily one season. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we're stuffed then because we got back down, and then the financial implications going down the division because there is a massive contrast between the different leagues, whether that be well, it's WSL2 now, isn't it? Not Championship or
Mm.
below. And then you've got the WSL. There's a massive gulf in terms of finances there. And obviously, we all know that the women's game hasn't got the finances of the men's game. And I hate comparing the two, but it has to be said about the financial side of things there. So, but when you've got the gap between the WSL, WSL2, and then even below that in the National League, the different levels of the National League and below it is massively different. The gap is there. So I think, yeah, they've invested solidly to try and keep in this division so that they can keep themselves going for years to come. And hopefully, for their perspective, they're hoping that they can break into Europe maybe one day and who knows beyond.
So this kind of brings up the last point I wanted to mention. So you guys have put different teams for your favorite for the relegation playoff, and we'll start with you, Joe. You put West Ham as favorites to go into that relegation playoff. Care to explain why?
I also put West Ham last year in Palace to sneak it, survive on the last day, but I was proven wrong. But no, I think it's just because they've been in and around the bottom two or three the last 2 or 3 seasons, if memory serves me correctly. They don't look like they've invested amazingly to me. And I think when teams are in and around the bottom half or bottom, 2 or 3, like these have been for the last couple of seasons, I think that at some point something's got to give. So I got to think I could have quite easily gone with Leicester as well, because they've not been great in the last couple of seasons. But something tells me that there's going to be a bit of a dark season for West Ham.
And Stu, you put Tottenham. So now Tottenham looking to a different future now under the reins of Martin Ho, but you have them in 10th place. Sorry, 12th place. Care to say why?
It might be because I've seen a bit more than Tottenham on the other sides, but defensively, I really don't like how they've played, and I just think in a league season it's just like essential to get your defense right. And looking at their transfer business, I don't think they've done anything to help with that. So I just think they're gonna concede goals, and then I think they are going to really struggle. I was stuck between Tottenham or Leicester, to be fair, because with Leicester sacking their manager. So I think a lot will depend when Leicester get their new manager in, because there's a lot of talk of Matt Beard. Like Joe will probably know more than me, but I don't know if that's true or not. But I think he could be a good appointment to like save them. So that's why I thought Tottenham in the end.
So
Matt,
yeah,
sorry, can I
sorry
jump
to
in?
yeah, yeah, go jump in.
Matt Beard's gone to Burnley in the
Oh,
Women's National
okay.
League, and he's taken quite a few players with him. Actually, he's taken Jasmine Matthews and Yana Daniels from Liverpool with him. That dropped down a couple of divisions. Apparently, he's in it for the long haul to try and get Burnley to the WSL. So that'll be. I don't know whether he'll go to Leicester, but I don't even know if he'll get Burnley there. To be honest, not because there's anything wrong with the club. It's just I think there's limitations there.
So yeah, we have West Ham and Tottenham in and around. Eh, Last year was made a bit easier by the fact that Palace only managed to get, well, were 10 points off it in the end. So you think when this relegation playoff comes about, because this is the new format as well, we only have a relegation playoff against third place of the WSL2. So if the gap is really that big, how consequential would this 10th place be in the end? Because let's be perfectly frank, West Ham and Tottenham should be beating any third team WSL2 team at the moment, unless I'm missing something.
No, I
Yeah,
think that's a fair statement. So, sure.
as I for me, I don't think. I think it'll just be the top division side winning that game for like the first couple of years. But I think the more like the teams get relegated down into that second tier, it will then start differentiating more, where the teams bouncing back up have like more of a chance. But the first 2 or 3 years, I just can't see the second tier team going up in that playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new format. It often can be disastrous as well as advantageous. Remains to be seen. But to try and summarize the rest of it, we've missed a few teams out of this all. So we haven't mentioned Brighton as well. There's the famous place curse, and they managed to get fifth place last season. Do we expect them to push on or also struggle a little bit?
I think that they've made a few. They got Frank Kirby, I think, and they've made a few good signings. So I just think, and the level's just a bit too much for them. But I think if they can like get fifth, fourth, that'd be like a great season for them. But they play like really good football. But I just think the gap's too big.
Hmm. And the Brighton model is, I don't know how well it's working with the men's team and the women's team in how do I say this? How because the men's team obviously we know that they put a lot into the youth system. I don't know if Brighton's women they are trying to follow the same model, but they do have or they have had young players, but it still remains to be seen for Brighton. And then of course we've missed out on one team, which is Everton. Everton will be playing in Goodison Park, which we thought we said goodbye to last season, but now will be used for the women's team. What can we expect from Everton? Because, well, last season they finished eighth. I'm not sure if we're expecting a higher or a lower finish for them.
I think probably around about the same place, maybe seventh place, maybe might go one place higher. I don't think they'll finish higher than London City Lionesses. I don't have the highest hopes for the cross city rivals Liverpool either, which is painful for me to say as I read. But no, I think Somerset does an all right job at Everton. He's a manager with some great ideas. It's just that the last couple of seasons things just fizzled out in terms of their league performances. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Keeping hold of Katja Snoish was a big thing as well for them. She was key in games that I saw of Everton's last season. So yeah, and I don't think they're going to pull up any trees, but I think that's a given. I think they'll just be mid-table again.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I forgot one more team, which is Aston Villa, and a decent preseason with only one defeat and a 5-win streak at the end of last season. Can we expect a little bit of a surge from them, or an attempt to break that top 5 from them this season?
Uh, not in my opinion. No, I don't think they're going to trouble them. They didn't last season, and I don't think they will this season.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think they've lost what they were pushing in previous years.
What transfer business have Villa done? I can't remember seeing much with them.
Yeah, I can't
Nah.
find anything, so I
Mm.
think it's stayed pretty much the same. There's not a lot of outgoings or ingoings at Villa, which can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's not underestimate the transfers can be overrated. And also one last point that I think we should bring up: the transfer window will close on Thursday, the day before the first match of the season. Do we expect any business to happen in between then, or pretty much done and dusted by now?
Ooh, I might see a few little deals take place here or there, but I don't expect anything major to happen at this late stage in the window. I think Grace Clinton's been linked with the likes of City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. With United reluctant to sell. I think that's the one to keep an eye on. But I think with it the later it goes into the week, I think there's less chance of that happening.
Mm-hmm. The main thing seems to be that the money is spent already. So it's not like a lot of transfer activity is going to happen in these later days. And then right after that, well, as of recording, it is Monday evening, the 1st of September. So we've got another 3 days until the transfer window closes. And then it will kick off on Friday, Chelsea versus Manchester City. Big clash already for the beginning of the season. And I think we've covered about just everything we wanted to in this show, unless you guys had any more things to add to this, or any thoughts, predictions, or yeah, outlandish predictions, something like that.
Uh, I don't think it's outlandish, but I think Hannah Hampton will have the Golden Glove again.
I
Yeah.
did forget to mention that one. Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
Golden Glove was the last
Uh-huh.
category. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
You both think Hannah Hampton will win the Golden Glove after an impressive summer, the impressive last season. I don't think there's
mm,
too much to add. She's still a young
mm.
goalkeeper. But if you care to add anything onto that, please do.
Yeah, I think defensively Chelsea are just so strong, and Hampton's like a great keeper, so but the mix between them both just like makes her like a front runner for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and playing all of Chelsea's 22 games last season, obviously her
Yeah.
impressive summer, it looks like she's on track to be the top keeper in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I think we are coming to a conclusion. If you also know do you expect any surprises with the new 14 team format coming in, or will it just do you think it could ruin the entertainment of WSL?
Uh, it's going to be interesting to see. I want to see how it works first before passing too much judgment, but I don't think it's going to make too much difference adding two more teams. To be honest, I think if the if I was to expand it myself, I would have gone to like 18 or 20 teams. But
Oh
that's
wow.
just me.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Mhm.
I think it's a bit of an awkward one because I prefer the league formats of like 18 teams, but then there's going to be such a massive gulf in quality. It's difficult to do with the women's like Super League at the moment. But as more interest get into the women's game, hopefully in the future they may be able to go down that road.
What I will say is, I think it'll have a bigger impact lower down the pyramid than it will at the top half. That's what I'll
Yeah.
say at the moment, especially with the fact, with the up and downs and then the finances lower down because basically technically below the National League it's classed as like grassroots technically, so it'll have a massive impact on teams in tier 4 and 5.
But you're saying for better.
Possibly for the better in a couple of years. Not right away. I think it'll have a few implications for teams in the lower tiers 4 and 5. It'll probably have a big implication if they get that promotion, finding the finances. But once it all settles down, given about 3-4 years of this new format, I think it'll probably be better off for the women's game.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, great. Both, well,
Mm.
gosh, I've lost the words. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Stu, for joining me. And been a pleasure talking about the up and coming WLSL season. As mentioned, it kicks off on Friday night with Manchester City versus Chelsea. Sorry, Chelsea versus Manchester City. And yeah, let's just get this started. Okay, so Stu, Joe, see you next time. And to you, viewer,
Next
thank
time.
you for watching. And also, see you next time.